The U.S. Army believed the Texas frontier had been pacified after Colonel McKenzie's earlier campaigns in the Panhandle. Now, it was in turmoil again. General Philip Sheridan decided to launch what he hoped would be the final campaign to forever end the freedom of the Comanches and their allied tribes. He recalled Colonel McKenzie from the border and planned a massive campaign to surround and destroy Parker and his army. Troops surged out of Fort Concho and Fort Richardson in Texas, Fort Sill in Indian Territory, Fort Union in New Mexico, and Fort Dodge, Kansas. The Indians would have no place to hide. In August 1874, the U.S. troops skirmished with warriors at the Battle of Red River. Parker and his leaders realized that even though they had driven off the buffalo hunters, they now faced long odds from the converging forces. On September 9th, native warriors attacked the column coming in from Kansas and Indian Territory at the Battle of Lyman's Wagon Train. 3 days later, others attacked U.S. troops at the Buffalo Wallow Fight and at the Battle of Little Sweetwater Creek. All these battles allowed the natives time to retreat into their stronghold of Palo Duro Canyon. On September 28th, Colonel McKenzie discovered the native positions and drove the warriors away from their lodges and supplies. The troopers also captured the Indian horses. While the scattered warriors looked on, U.S. soldiers slaughtered the pony herd in nearby Tule Canyon. Few soldiers or warriors had been killed in the campaign, but the ability of the Comanches and their allies to persist on the plains had ended. Parker was defeated. His people were crippled economically. Their horses were gone. Their lodges were gone, as were their possessions. Most of the U.S. forces returned to their bases, but a few skirmishes over the next few months ended the campaign. Most of the indigenous people drifted back to the reservation. Those that did not faced a harsh panhandle winter without food, clothing, shelter, or transportation. On June 2nd, 1875, Parker surrendered with 407 of his followers. U.S. authorities at Fort Sill rounded up leaders they held responsible for the insurrection. Officers ordered 72 influential Comanches, Kiowas, Cheyennes, Arapahoes, and Caddos imprisoned at Fort Marion, Florida. Skywalker died there. Satanta returned to a life sentence in Huntsville, where he committed suicide 2 years later. Parker remained with his people and led efforts at reconciliation. Deprived of their traditional leaders and their way of life, the native peoples faced a gloomy future. Remarkably, some people in Texas wanted to protect what remained of the buffalo herd. In fact, several states and territories across the American West considered passing legislation that protected buffalo, but mostly efforts came way too late. Americans were simply too good at killing buffalo. In 1875, Texans made an attempt to end the slaughter, but it gained no traction. The U.S. government encouraged the destruction of the buffalo. The presence of the buffalo was the only thing that allowed Indians to ever leave the reservation and be independent of government handouts. If the natives were ever to be assimilated, American leaders urged the end of any trace of their old culture. The start would be the elimination of the buffalo. Besides, once the buffalo were gone, all that rich grass country would attract Texas cattle raisers.